What would you do if you fell from one of the highest positions in a thriving society to murky, rat-infested sewers trying to survive in a world that labeled you as the villain? If that sounds intriguing, then you might want to take a look at Arcane Studios' Dishonored. The game is vast. In terms of world building, it is admirable how much the writers were able to come up with and include in this game. One concern I want to discuss here is, could the world of Dishonored, the city of Dunwall, perhaps be too big? You play as Corvo Atano, Royal Protector of Jessamine Caldwin, Empress of the Isles. You return to the city of Dunwall, a steampunk-esque capital of the Isles that is experiencing its first steps into an industrial revolution. But you return with bad news. The other islands will not aid you in the battle against the highly contagious virus of unknown origin that is eating up the city from inside. As you reach the exterior of Dunwall Tower, you are met with Lady Emily Caldwin, Jessamine's daughter and heir to the throne.
Corvo, you're back!
Walking up to the gazebo after talking with some familiar faces, you reach the Empress and the Royal Spy Master, Hiram Burroughs, who will remark that you have arrived unexpectedly early.
Corvo, 2 days early, full of surprises, as usual.
After you've handed the unfortunate news over to the Empress, assassins will be spotted on the rooftops, and however good or bad you'll perform in this ambush, Jessamine will always die at the hands of assassin Dowd, and Emily will always be kidnapped. Corvo will be framed as the one who orchestrated all of this and put into jail. You have become Dishonored. This will be how you start the game. Corvo has spent 6 months in prison and is scheduled for execution. However, a guard will drop by a key to get you out of your cell and escape your death sentence. This level in Coldridge Prison and part of the sewer system of Dunwall will make you familiar with the basic mechanics of the game. An important note is that you can complete the game in 2 styles, aggressive and passive. Depending on how many characters you consciously choose to kill, your chaos meter will rise. With this you can either reach a low or high chaos ending, which more conventionally can be called a good or bad ending. You reach high chaos when you complete the game with more than 20% of the characters you can encounter killed. It sounds like a low number, but in reality the game is very generous to you in allowing room for unintentional killing. Raising the difficulty level does not affect 20% limit, only improving the perception of guards and other enemies. To keep a player truly on their toes and for avoiding mistakes, a lower chaos limit in higher difficulty would definitely have had some benefits. Coldridge Prison will demonstrate the perception of guards, their walk cycles, their idle dialogue scripts, and showing that there are many ways to complete a mission. Once you are out of your cell, there is already a hallway with 2 permanent guards and 1 that can walk in or out of this environment. If you remove 1 or more of them from their position unseen, the other guards will at most make a remark about it and not suspect anything. If you want to go for low chaos, this will be the first of many sections that will include lots and lots of waiting. Distinguishing patterns that guards go through can be boring, but adds to the immersion. There is no quick way of getting around these watchful eyes, or at least not yet. You can take out a guard by crouching up close to them and stroking them unconscious, after which you can safely dispose of them in a hidden position. Leaning around corners from behind a wall makes it possible to get an overview of the environment without being easily spotted and attacked, but another option is to stay high off the ground and out of the field of view. Mysterious allies on the outside have left a bomb for you in the interrogation room to blast your way out of prison. In this interrogation room, you can also find audio recordings and documents by Hiram Burroughs, now the Lord Regent, that add further detail to his plot of gaining power. Once out of prison, you must enter the sewers to avoid capture and reach your allies. Here you will get a grim introduction to the Red Plague and its victims. Going through the sewers, you will also pick up on a broadcast that describes you as the enemy of the public, making it unlikely that you can blend in amongst the general population of Dunwall. Where Coldridge Prison demonstrated guards and stealth, the sewers introduces the puzzle aspect of the game. There are a number of optional and game progressing puzzles that you can encounter in a number of places. Some are finding out where a certain key or valve is and bringing it with you to open the way ahead, while others require more thinking, such as the strategic positioning of dead bodies to avoid getting eaten alive by feral rats. You will also pick up the main gear of the game in the sewer location, a simple blade and crossbow. With these tools you can create openings to sneak through or make it rain blood all over Dunwall. At the end of the mission you will meet Samuel Beechworth, a grumpy veteran and a man of the seas. Samuel will be your main mode of transportation in and out of missions. He offers commentary and advice on how some basic parts of levels are structured and how some obstacles can be overcome, but is also a pleasant companion for reflection throughout the game. Samuel will bring you to the Hound Pits pub, the hideout and base of your allies in a district quarantined due to the plague. Here you will meet most importantly Admiral Havelock, a military man who coordinates your escape from prison, Lord Trevor Pendleton, who can secure political influence as a member of nobility, and Pierre Joplin, who will craft Corvo's iconical skeletal mask and offer upgrades and ammunition in between missions. Admiral Havelock will brief you on steps you must take in future missions. These mostly include assassination of important targets or extracting people from locations to house them at your base. All these will add up to destabilizing the support network of the Lord Regent. During your first night in freedom, you will enter the Void, a mysterious dimension that is home to the Outsider.
Hello, Corvo. Your life has taken a turn, has it not?
The Outsider is besides Corvo perhaps the most iconic character in the series. He has a godlike status in the world of Dishonored, but is not accepted by the dominating religious faction. He bestows his mark on Corvo, granting him supernatural powers that can help you move forward in whatever way you like. The Outsider doesn't care what you do with these powers. What matters to him is that you have sparked his interest and he wants to see you continue being interesting. The Outsider himself is interesting in that he is morally grey and largely ambiguous to your actions moving forward in the game. When contacting him, his dialogue may differ depending on your chaos meter, but there's not a clear judgment in his statements. His mark grants you a number of abilities, but here the issue of the chaos system comes in once more. There are certain abilities that will benefit you regardless of playstyle, as well as those that are only useful if you want to kill enemies in large numbers and interesting ways. Because of that, I have as of yet never used powers such as Wind Blast or Devouring Swarm. They would simply add nothing to my stealth preference. This is truly a shame, as I don't find it worth my time to dedicate to a specific playstyle in order to unlock and use certain powers. Once you have acquired your weapons, powers and mask, you can enter the first proper mission of the game, the Office of the High Overseer. High Overseer Campbell is one of the pillars that holds up the web spun by the Lord Regent. Your objective is to neutralize Campbell and retrieve his personal notebook to discover the location of Emily Caldwin. In this district, you can also rob a safe, meet with the unsettling character of Granny Rags, and open up a secondary shop to fill up on more ammunition and tools. Your first choice already happens before you even reach the office. In the Distillery District, a man called Slackjaw is leader of the Bottle Street Gang, a mafia-like organization that supplies local citizens with elixirs against the Red Plague in exchange for money. When you explore the alleyways, you can see gang members harassing a shopkeeper for money, and Granny Rags will ask you to scare away ruffians hanging at her own door. Once you've done the latter, either by killing or subduing each gang member, Granny Rags will ask you to poison the gang's elixir supply so that they will catch the plague too. All in all, it can be a difficult choice. Do you strike down with justice on this gang because they exploit the plague for profit, or do you leave them alone so that the working class citizens of Dunwall have a chance at survival? At the Office of the High Overseer, you stand for a similar choice. When you enter the vicinity, you can overhear some overseers talk about the Heretics brand, a burnt mark that will show a fall from Order of the Overseers, dooming those who have it to a life of pariah. You then have two options before moving forward with Campbell. Simply assassinate him, or getting him unconscious and giving the Heretics brand, so that his own order will cast him out, leaving him powerless. This option will present itself with every target that needs to be neutralized. Either you simply kill them at the right moment, or you find another way. Dishonored, however, is not kind in its non-lethal options. The Pendleton twins will be mutilated and put to work in their own mines, Lady Boyle will be shipped off with her stalker, and the Lord Regent will spend the rest of his life in prison. In all these cases, the targets have their life, but what kind of life will it be? And was death perhaps more merciful? The entire world of Dishonored is fictional, including a new yearly calendar, a largely unexplored continent beyond the Isles, and whales that are stores of power and magic. A lot of lore is put in in-game text, such as books, notes, and audiographs. The game goes as far as to create fictional theater plays for you to read, but they are totally optional. Reading all of it would take up a lot of time, which is a shame given the detail they add. The society of Dunwall can be compared to that of Victorian Britain. There is nobility and working class, hints at imperialism, and a lot of scheming that goes on behind the scenes. You, as Corvo Atano, are already an outsider amongst the nobility given your Sakoan background, a stand-in for Mediterranean Europe, as well as your closeness to the Empress Jessamine on both professional and personal level, bringing with it all kinds of rumors. Besides the main antagonist of the game, there is also the subplot of the Red Plague, a mysterious disease with an extremely high mortality rate that rages among the citizens of Dunwall. This leads to interesting gameplay moments, as besides guards, there are reapers to keep an eye on, and the subsequent quarantine of districts and areas and the heightened security that will require you to find different modes of infiltration and invasion. Some cheeky comparisons can be made to the current COVID-19 pandemic, a mission I want to highlight in that regard instead of Lady Boyle's last party.
Going to a party, Corvo? Is that what you dreamed of? All those months in Coldridge Prison while waiting for the executioner? Wealth, beautiful women in the latest fashions, laughing and drinking Tivian wine? And what of the host, Lady Boyle? I can see all her tomorrows, and I know that either she dies tonight at your hand, or she'll live out her days, month after month, year after year, far away, even as her fine clothes wear into tatters and her silken hair gets dull and gray. Half the city can see the lights from the party, and they dream of the delights inside. Will you tear it all to pieces? Either way, it's Lady Boyle's last party.
In the game, there are 3 Lady Boyles, Waverly, Esma, and Lydia. The Boyles are nobility and have large financial assets, and one of the sisters, you'll learn, has a close relationship with the Lord Regent, and you must eliminate her. The identity of the target is randomized, meaning that it can be either Waverly, Esma, or Lydia each time you play the mission. To get to your target, you must infiltrate a masquerade party hosted at the Boyle estate. The exterior of this mission, a lavishly decorated party for the rich and famous in the middle of a plague, almost seemed to have predicted influencer parties a decade before their time. Once inside, using one of the many ways to gain access to the Boyle grounds, you find out that the sisters have set up a game. Each one wears a different color, red, white, or black. The true identity is something that the guests must find out in order to win a prize. In a sense, there are 2 randomizations at play. Firstly, you must find out the name of your target, and secondly, find out what color our outfit is for this evening. The mission furthermore also sends out that it requires of you to think more instead of just sneaking around. Due to your mask, you fit into the party crowd and you must not make yourself suspicious to avoid getting killed. As hinted at before, there are 2 ways to get rid of Lady Boyle. You can talk her into going to a private location and kill her there. Each sister also has her unique location and motivation. Or you agree to Lord Brisby's offer and have the targeted sister be taken away by a stalker. The mission is somewhat unique in the entire roster available in the game, but is also a great example of world building, use of characters and setting, and making clear that the problem and mission can be solved in many different ways. It is difficult to determine what Dishonored is trying to say with the story and gameplay. The most obvious one is that violence isn't the answer, but given the explanation of the chaos system before, that can be taken with a grain of salt. You can choose violence, just not too much of it. Furthermore, there is an ongoing theme about corruption, but that stands largely outside of Corvo's and the player's control. As said before, I loved this game. I would without a doubt say that it's one of my favorite series besides and including its flaws. A lot of thought went into the making of this, and that shows if you take some time to just explore your surroundings. That said, unlike Night in the Woods, this may be less approachable to new players or people who don't game that often. It is definitely something more upward on the scale of stereotypical video games. The playstyle is very similar to Assassin's Creed, but in my opinion, more polished, so it would be the case of if you like that, you may also like this kind of recommendation. I'm not sure if Arcane Studios has anything planned for the 10-year anniversary of the game coming up next year. Part of me hopes they do, but in truth, it has been kind of quiet on social media platforms. If this review made you interested, you can wait for it to go on sale on Steam to give it a go. You don't need any high-grade setup for it to play smoothly, and if you want to take part in a slow but compelling game full of intrigue, I would definitely recommend it. And we're we're back on the outro. Firstly, thank you for watching, of course. Contrary to my last video, I don't have anyone specific to thank here. So I wanted to dedicate this part to the more the look and feel of this game, because I couldn't really fit it in anywhere else in this review for it to make sense. But from the gameplay that I used in this video, you might have noticed that it has a very distinct style. And the one responsible for this is Cedric Perravenet, a French artist who is responsible for the concept art of the game, the character design, and the main kind of graphics look you see in the visuals. It has a very watercolory but robust style that, even though it's from 2012, it does not feel dated if you play today. Furthermore, the lineup of voice actors for this game is impressive. It's very impressive for a debut game by a small French studio. So I wanted to do a little credit sequence here with everybody involved, or at least the most famous people involved. So here we go. The full cast of Dishonored includes, but is not limited to,
Oh, Brad, wasn't it wonderful? Didn't Betty look radiantly beautiful?
Is that you, my dear husband?
I want you to know what it's like to love someone.
Corvo, under other circumstances, I assure you I might welcome your advances.
I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash.
Attention. Any disturbance in the region of Dunwall Tower this evening?
I did. Come in, have a seat.
We can continue this later, Lord Pendleton. The man of the hour is here.
Two serpents with emerald eyes.
I was inventing a new kind of lock.
Oh, fuck him. Set off the alarm.
My mother warned me.
Easy, bounce. It's Filipino. Mother's busy talking to that nasty old spy master.
You hang up on me again, I'll cut you like a fish, understand?
A waste of time. My elixir will banish the plague from this city.